The architecture of inevitable discipline, rethinking the warrior's mind. You don't lack discipline. You're just fighting a biological war with the wrong weapons. Society tells you to grind harder, to scream at yourself in the mirror and rely on cheap motivational quotes to build your business or hit the gym. It's pathetic, and it's a losing game. Why? Because willpower is a battery, and yours drains the moment you face stress. You are trying to overwrite millions of years of survival. Code with pure ego. But what if you stopped fighting your brain and started quietly hacking it, like a samurai? Your brain didn't evolve to care about your 5-year plan or your desire to build an empire. It evolved for one brutal, singular purpose: immediate survival. Over millions of years, the human mind adapted to conserve every ounce of energy. It seeks out rapid hits of dopamine and avoids any effort that didn't provide an instant return. This is why your brain doesn't want you to do deep work. It wants you to stay on the couch because the couch is safe and energy efficient. It wants you to scroll through social media because the reward is instant and costs nothing. This brings us to a philosophy shared by both modern science and the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. In his Book of 5 Rings, Musashi emphasized that victory is decided even before the fight begins. He didn't rely on emotional outbursts of courage. He relied on a stance, a system, and a mind that was already prepared. Similarly, author James Clear argues that real discipline doesn't come from force. It comes from design. The most consistent men you see aren't necessarily stronger than you in terms of character. They are simply better architects of their own reality. They don't fight their biology, they manipulate it. If you've ever hated yourself for falling short of your own standards, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to show you that you've been fighting a war you were programmed to lose because you were using the wrong weapons. Let's kill the lie of willpower and look at how your environment acts as the true architect of your behavior. We will explore how to stop relying on motivation, which is volatile and weak, and start building choice architecture where the right action becomes the path of least resistance. By the end of this breakdown, you won't just have a list of tips. You'll have a structural blueprint to turn your daily actions into an automated system of success, much like the no-mind state Musashi mastered. If you're ready to stop being a victim of your own evolutionary programming and start engineering a life where your goals happen by default, pay close attention to what comes next. The final shift in identity we discuss at the very end is the only reason some men succeed while others stay stuck in the same loop for decades. Let's begin. The biological blueprint of resistance. To understand why you struggle with consistency, you have to realize that your brain is essentially a survival machine running on outdated hardware. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a neurobiological fact. While you are trying to build a career or a business, your brain is busy trying to save you from a famine that ended thousands of years ago. Throughout evolution, our ancestors lived in environments where energy was scarce. Every movement had to be justified by immediate survival. If you found a high-calorie food source, you ate it immediately. If you had a chance to rest, you took it to preserve energy for a potential hunt or a flight from a predator. This creates a massive internal conflict in the 21st century. On one side, you have a world that demands the focus of a resilient supercomputer. On the other, you have a brain shaped to act like a cautious hunter-gatherer. When you decide to skip the gym or check your phone instead of working, your brain isn't being evil or lazy. It is being efficient. It is choosing what neuroscience calls cognitive ease, the path of least resistance. Miyamoto Musashi spoke of the rhythm of things, noting that there is a time for everything, but even a master must realize when they are fighting against the natural flow of the universe. When you rely solely on willpower, you are fighting against the natural flow of your own biology. Think about it. Waking up early to train requires immense effort with no immediate reward. Meanwhile, scrolling through social media offers instant, guaranteed pleasure with zero energy cost. Your brain sees this choice and picks the easy path before you even consciously decide. This software is still running in you today. As long as your goals and your biological programming are in conflict, you will remain tired and frustrated. James Clear points out that motivation is overrated because it depends on how you feel in the moment. But when you are tired, your brain defaults to autopilot, and autopilot always chooses the easiest path. The first step to mastery is not to try harder, but to understand what you are truly dealing with. You have to stop viewing discipline as a battle of strength and start seeing it as a problem of engineering. However, even if you accept this biological reality, there is a hidden force that is sabotaging you every single day without you even realizing it. It's something far more powerful than your inner thoughts, acting as the secret architect of every move you make. If you don't learn how to control this external force, even the best biological understanding won't save you. The hidden architect, mastering your environment. Now that we have exposed the biological resistance living inside your skull, we must look at the true battleground, the environment around you. Most men believe that self-control is an inner moral muscle, a kind of spiritual grit that you just need to man up and strengthen. But the truth is much more uncomfortable. Self-control is fragile, and it inevitably crumbles when faced with a poorly designed environment. Musashi taught that you should do nothing which is of no use. Yet look at your surroundings. If you decide to get fit, but your workout clothes are buried at the bottom of a messy drawer while your phone is sitting right next to your pillow, you aren't making a choice. You are following a script. The brain always chooses what is available and easy over what is hidden and laborious. You are trying to change your life while maintaining a space that actively encourages your old, lazy self. This is where we implement choice architecture. This is the art of behavioral engineering, where we make the right decision the simplest option. Think about your workspace. If you want to build a business or execute high-retention storytelling, don't just try to focus. Set up a dedicated environment that strips away all friction. Leave your manuscript or editing timeline open on the screen. Use a proxy to block out the noise of the internet and keep your phone in another room. Make the right choice the only choice. If you want to master your craft, leave your tools in the center of the room. You must set traps for your future success. If you are starting to realize that your laziness was actually just bad room design, comment 1 below to let me know you're ready to stop fighting yourself and start outsmarting your surroundings. Disciplined men are not stronger, they are simply smarter engineers of their space and rituals. They create systems where the right behavior requires less energy than the wrong one. As Musashi noted, a warrior must perceive that which cannot be seen with the eye. You must see the invisible friction in your room and eliminate it. But even with a perfect environment, there is still the problem of starting. How do you bridge the gap between sitting down and actually doing the work? Designing the room is only half the battle. There is a specific psychological hack that allows you to hijack the habits you already have and force them to serve your new identity. Without this next piece, your redesigned environment might just become a very pretty place to continue doing nothing. Neural coupling, the strategy of habit. Stacking your environment is now a fortress designed for success, but even a perfect fortress is useless if the warrior within refuses to draw his sword. This is the hurdle of the start. The hardest part is the draw. Staring at a blank screen or a heavy barbell requires a massive spike of mental energy just to begin, and your brain hates that. You look at the mountain of work ahead, and your brain immediately retreats into the comfort of what it already knows. To overcome this, we look to Miyamoto Musashi, who taught that in strategy, your spirit should be the same as when you are performing everyday movements. He believed that the transition between stances should be fluid, almost invisible. In modern terms, we call this habit stacking. Your brain already operates on thousands of automatic habit loops, cue, routine, and reward, that require zero willpower. You brush your teeth after waking up, you grab coffee as you enter the kitchen, or you check your phone the moment you sit on the couch. These are deeply carved neural pathways. Habit stacking allows you to hijack these existing tracks by anchoring a new, difficult behavior to an old, automatic one. Instead of trying to manifest discipline out of thin air, you simply couple the new action to the tail end of a routine that is already rooted in your biology. The formula is simple. After your current habit, you will perform the new habit. For example, after you pour your morning coffee, you will write 1 sentence in your journal. After you lock your front door to leave for work, you will repeat a single focus affirmation for the day. This creates a mental coupling where the first action becomes the trigger for the second. You are no longer deciding to act. You are simply following the momentum of a move you have already started. However, for this to work with the precision of a samurai's strike, you must obey the law of the micro-start. Musashi warned against heavy movements that reveal your intentions to the enemy. Similarly, your new habit must be so small it's impossible to fail. Something that takes less than 2 minutes. Read 1 page, not a chapter. Do 1 push-up, not a full workout. By reducing the friction of the start, you allow inertia to work in your favor. These micro-stacks might seem insignificant, but they accumulate exponentially. They eventually transform into solid, unbreakable routines. When the right action happens, before doubt or laziness can even find a voice, you have won the first battle. But as powerful as stacking is, there is a reason why even the best-laid plans often end in frustration. You might stack your habits perfectly, yet still find yourself paralyzed by a sudden, overwhelming urge to avoid the work altogether. This is the trap of procrastination, and it isn't caused by a lack of effort. It's caused by a failure to understand the 4 invisible laws that govern every human behavior. If you don't master these laws, your stacks will eventually crumble under the weight of your own boredom. The 4 pillars of behavioral engineering. The word procrastination carries a heavy weight for most men, often associated with weakness or a lack of ambition. You might look at your unfinished tasks and think, "I'm just lazy." But this narrative is self-destructive and factually wrong. Procrastination is not a personality flaw. It is a symptom of a poorly designed system. Your brain avoids tasks, not because you lack grit, but because the action is unappealing, difficult, and lacks an immediate reward. Musashi taught that you must know the smallest things and the biggest things, and in the world of habits, the smallest friction can stop the biggest ambition. To solve this, we must apply the 4 laws of behavior change. First, make it obvious. If your goal is hidden, it will be forgotten. Second, make it attractive. Pair the habit with anticipation. Third, make it easy. Reduce friction. And fourth, make it satisfying. Anchor the behavior with a clear reward. Consider a man who wants to master deep work, maybe writing a 4,000-word script or analyzing growth metrics every Tuesday morning. He fails because his desktop is a cluttered mess, his phone is buzzing, and the TV is on. By redesigning the system, clearing his workspace to a minimalist aesthetic the night before, locking his network down with a proxy to kill distractions, and committing to just write the first 2 sentences, he turns a chaotic struggle into a state of fudoshin, an immovable flow. He stops relying on force and starts relying on structure. When you apply these laws, procrastination begins to vanish without effort. You are no longer fighting your mind, you are leading it. But even as the action becomes easier, a haunting question remains. What happens when the novelty wears off? What do you do on the days when you still hate the task, even if it's easy? There is a dangerous myth in productivity culture that says you must love the grind to succeed. If you buy into that lie, you will quit the moment things get boring. The final ascent, identity and the way. The dangerous myth of loving the grind is exactly why most men quit. As Musashi taught, the way of the warrior is resolute acceptance. You don't need to enjoy waking up at 5 in the morning. You simply need a system that makes staying in bed harder than getting up. True discipline is a side effect of a solid identity. Every small win, every page read, every rep finished is a vote for the man you are becoming. If you are ready to stop being a victim of your biology and start winning by structure, comment 2 to signal your commitment to this new identity. Subscribe to the channel to join this brotherhood of high-performance engineering. We go deeper than shallow motivation here. But even with a new identity, there is one final shadow that can destroy everything: the paradox of success. If you don't learn how to protect your progress, you might lose it all tomorrow.